I'm going to show you all highlights of this fight, at least from what I can, without getting demonetized. Israel Adesanya defeated Anderson Silva in the UFC 234 main event. Let's talk about it. Let's see it. We see a little bit of action. Israel Adesanya was sticking to low kicks, inside kicks, outside kicks. Silva didn't seem to pull the trigger early on. He was counterfighting. Now, when he did eventually turn it on towards the end of the round, it was mainly just this, him moving his hands around. He didn't do a whole lot. You could tell that he got really, really frustrated. And at the end of that round, Adesanya started to taunt. This became a theme of the fight, where Silva and Adesanya would challenge each other to one another's games. You know, Silva loves putting his back up against the cage, throwing strikes there. Adesanya prefers to fight in the middle of the cage. They would throw some. This is more of an exhibition than it was a fight to me. And eventually, as you see, Israel Adesanya gets his hand raised in victory, unanimous decision. I thought Anderson Silva won the second round. I don't know how a judge would give round 2 to Adesanya. He clearly won the first round. He was active. Silva, quite frankly, was not active at all. In round 2, I'm sure that Adesanya ended up outlanding Silva by about 2 strikes, but we're talking like some very light leg kicks as opposed to, now, is any Adesanya leg kick light? That easy for me to say. I'm not in there taking them. But Anderson Silva would chase Adesanya down, landed a series of strikes in succession, found a real rhythm and a pattern at times in this round. And I thought controlled the round. He landed more impactful blows and all that. All was for naught, because in round 3, he didn't have any real sense of urgency. Instead, he wanted to put on more of a show. And maybe that's that's his MO at this stage. I have somebody in the chat saying it felt like DC Spider all over again. Yeah, but you got to remember, when Anderson Silva took that fight, you got to realize he's a middleweight facing Daniel Cormier, who is really a heavyweight. They're meeting at 205. Silva had surgery, I think, weeks before that. I can't believe he was cleared and took the fight on a few days' notice. With all that I said about Anderson Silva, this may be the best that he's looked in a long time. You could argue the Bisping fight before the stoppage that wasn't, the phantom stoppage. And the lead up to this was very good too, where they got emotional. Israel Adesanya puts on a tough shell. We interview him a lot at Fightful.com. James Lynch does. Check him out here on the YouTube channel. But he got really emotional realizing that this fight was happening. And remember back when Anderson Silva was the king on top of everything, and people would say, Anderson, who do you want to fight? And he said, me. I want to fight my clone. This is as close as he's going to get, my guys. And Anderson Silva I think he's fine. I think he's good to still fight and should still fight. I think it's the right move. Had somebody saying Anderson Silva was barely ranked going in tonight. Anderson Silva wasn't in the rankings for the last 2 years because of the USADA suspension that shouldn't have even happened, because, yeah, it's unfair to say he wasn't ranked coming into this fight, or barely was, because he had a lot of time taken from him from a wrong USADA situation. I would love to see Anderson Silva fight somebody like not in the top 5, not in the top 10. How about a David Branch? How about a Uriah Hall if he can miss weight? The Uriah Hall fight could be really frustrating, but let's go ahead and do that one. They were supposed to fight anyway. As for Israel Adesanya, one of 2 options. If Robert Whittaker is ready, then maybe Adesanya can wait. If Robert Whittaker isn't ready, him and Gastelum for the interim title. That's the right move. Saw a lot of people saying, what about Paulo Costa? No, this was a top contender fight regardless. So if Israel Adesanya's next fight should be for a title. He had a very special year, did Israel Adesanya. He's now 16-0, I believe. Yeah, 16-0. This was 365 days. He's 5-0. And the Brunson and Silva fights, are those as high level as they could be? No. Could he use another top 5 or a top 5 win? Yeah, he sure could. I wouldn't be opposed to that, but is Paulo Costa that fight if he were to beat Romero? No. And Costa's already fighting Romero. Rockhold's leaving the division. Souza's 4-3 in his last 7. Do you really want to sacrifice Adesanya for that? Maybe Weidman. Maybe. But I don't know. I'm tired of trying to shoehorn Weidman and Romero and Souza into title fights. They've had their opportunities. It's Israel Adesanya's opportunity. It's Kelvin Gastelum's opportunity. This was a fun fight. I didn't think this was an amazing fight by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not going to pretend like this was some life-altering bout in which you couldn't miss. From a historical perspective, you should watch it. I do a feature for major UFC events called Watch, Don't Watch, and I tell you my recommendations on whether or not you should watch the fight. And I said, from a historical perspective, you should, because it is an important fight. And they were two guys who put on a show, but it was more of an exhibition. I didn't get any real feeling that either one was desperate to finish the other. Anderson Silva had his hands down an awful lot, and boy, he ate some pretty good punches. I was shocked by that. I didn't think that Anderson... I think once Anderson Silva felt the power of Adesanya and either realized that he wasn't going to be put away or maybe Adesanya wasn't giving him everything, I guess he was fine with that. A fun fight. A fun exhibition is what this was.